What I'm going to show here is first how I would create a diagram or create a diagram of my building based on materials. Then I'm going to show you how I would use the display modes that I outlined in the last tutorial to use a combination of materials and layers to maybe create a more effective diagram. So in this building, I've split it up into different chunks. I want a cafe at the bottom level. I want a public lobby here, and I want a private lobby at this end. I've made some layers. So cafe, I'm going to switch this to the cafe layer. I'm going to select all of these objects and switch them to the lobby public. And I am going to select these back boxes and switch them to lobby private. Now, as I've outlined in the other video, there's multiple ways I can change or associate these objects with different materials. One method is to go and select the object and change its material. Or let's make sure I'm on diagram by material here. Let's run that again, and you can see that it changes. The other method is actually to make sure that when I select the object, it's on use layer material, and go ahead and change the material of the layer it's on. So for this cafe layer, I'm going to click the material of the layer under the material column. Let's create a new material that's a plaster. Let's call this cafe. And let's give this a green color just to be able to easily distinguish it. Now if I hit OK, you can see that under the properties it's using the layer material, and the cafe has a green material associated with it. I'm going to do the same thing for my public lobby using an existing material. And I'm going to change this private lobby to a plaster material using a slightly less deep red. So now I'm starting to diagram my building without any transparencies. I could have created these as plastics, so let's go ahead and use a plastic, and let's change one of these to like a dark red. Now you can see the private layer has some transparency. What I would suggest though is actually changing to a diagram by layer. So now you can see that in diagram by layer, the only difference color that's showing here is white, and there is a bit of transparency because I changed this material to a plastic. Now it doesn't matter what color that plastic is. What does matter is the color of the layer itself. So let's go ahead and change this to a pink. Let's go ahead and change this. I can change this to basically any material I want. Actually, to show you, I can change all of these to lobby glass, and you can see that it doesn't necessarily change the color of the object. Now let's change the public lobby to a really dark red. It's a little bit harder to see, and I have a lot of overlapping planes, so what you might want to do in this version when you have transparencies is boolean union these things, and you can actually see it a little bit better. And when you have floor plates in here, it's probably going to be much more distinguishable. For this cafe layer though, maybe I don't want this to be an opaque material, so I'm going to keep it as a default. I'm actually going to, you can see this is just a plaster with color, but that color is not being represented. I'm going to go ahead and use a dark green material, and it will change to that. If you're using all opaque materials, let's make all of these default materials. Oops, wrong one. You can easily distinguish between the spaces. So this is one form of diagram which is used fairly often. A more detailed version then, which is closer to a render, you can go ahead and use a diagram by material, and make sure that the materials are associated with some transparencies.